I have a bunch of new, interesting tech accessories I want to share with you all. This video is sponsored by Nordpass Business. The first item I have here is the StreamDeck Plus. Elgato sent me this to review. Now, a quick description of what a StreamDeck is for those that don't know is it's a device that can plug into a Mac or a PC that you can set up to trigger shortcuts, applications, automations. Streamers use it to cut between cameras, trigger lighting, stuff to happen on their live stream and stuff like that. It's a really great utility. If you think about the stuff that plugs into your computer, like a mouse and a keyboard, the StreamDeck is kind of like along the same lines as those. Like you can use it as an input device. Now, what makes the StreamDeck Plus a little different than all the other StreamDecks is it has these 4 knobs and a display. Now, currently, this is still really new. So outside of the Elgato plugins, there's not really a ton of support. Now, I don't really have any Elgato hardware because I'm not a live streamer. I don't need green screens or like different lights or a bunch of different cameras at my desk that I'm cutting between during a live stream. I do all of my stuff and edit it in a post-production setup. Because I use my StreamDeck primarily as a productivity device, the only handy thing for me is controlling volume on my computer. Now, you can use the knobs to control the volume to go up and down, and you can also press the button to mute the volume as well. Like I mentioned though, if you have a bunch of Elgato hardware, there's a ton of plugins for those. Since this device is still really new, my hope is a lot of third-party plugins come along and be like, okay, hey, how can we update our plugins to also support the knobs and the display as well? I would love to see like the toggle plugin support like how much time have I been time tracking on the display? And like the knobs would be great to control like, other things like Final Cut, like scrolling through the timeline and stuff like that. You could technically do that with keyboard shortcuts, but like a native version of that would be great. You could also use it for like color grading and Lightroom and stuff like that if those plugins come in the future. If you're a streamer right now, you can use it to control like the brightness or the white balance or the RGB of your lights. You can also use it to control camera settings like zoom and ISO, and then, audio levels for specific audio inputs and outputs as well. But for me, the StreamDeck is a productivity device. I use it to trigger shortcuts and time tracking stuff. I also use it for media playback, and like when I'm playing like a song or something like that, it shows the album artwork on the StreamDeck. I did a whole video about how I set up my StreamDeck. I'll link to it in the description below. That has pretty much stayed the same. If you're somebody that works at a Mac or a PC all day, just having a StreamDeck in general is just really nice. I don't know if the StreamDeck Plus is necessarily worth it right now. For me, I have the 16-button StreamDeck also, and that one is like the sweet spot for me because I'm able to trigger a bunch of different automations. Next up is this really interesting monitor sent to me by LG to review. Now, this is a 28-inch monitor, but in a 16 by 18 aspect ratio. So basically what this is it's two 21.5-inch monitors stacked on top of each other. I love how different this is. I usually say no to like monitor reviews and stuff like that, but when LG emailed me and I saw how like different this was, I jumped on it. It's really interesting because it has USB-C and HDMI. You can plug in the USB-C port to a MacBook or an iPad, and it takes up the full display. It'll charge your device, and you can just use it like a normal external monitor that's just really tall. It also does 90-watt power delivery, so it should be more than enough to charge like a 14-inch MacBook Pro or an iPad Pro or whatever. But where this gets really interesting is you can use 2 different inputs at the same time. So like I said, it's basically 2 monitors stacked on top of each other. So what you can do is you use what's called picture by picture. It's not picture in picture because it's not taking up a spot in the other image. It's just separated. So what I thought like, hey, this would be really cool for is if in your office, if you had like an Apple TV, but you also wanted to use this as a monitor to display information and work from, so you could plug your iPad into it and have it on the top, and then have the Apple TV underneath, so you could be watching sports, TV, whatever you want. I thought that was kind of like a really interesting idea. And at that point, the image would still be true 16 by 9 because you're taking up those 2 spots, and so nothing would be getting cropped. So what I did is I had my MacBook Pro plugged into it and my iPad plugged into it, and I was just using universal control to jump between the two. Worked really well together. It also has USB ports on the back so you can plug in things like keyboards. Now this is a VESA mounted monitor. There's no like desk stand for this. It has to attach to your desk in some way. Now this was actually an issue for me on my main desk. It didn't really fit properly in the holes that I have cut out in that desk. So what I did is I attached it to this desk that I'm sitting at right now, my filming desk, and I used it here, and it worked really well for that. So basically, if you have like an edge or a really big hole on your desk, it should work fine. The VESA stand itself is super adjustable. It's height, tilt, pan, and rotation adjustable. It can come really far out or you can push it really far in. It's really nice. Now, the monitor itself is a 2560 by 2880 resolution. So by no means is this Retina. Going back and forth between my studio display and this, I could drastically tell the difference. It was night and day. It is by no means Retina quality. Like if you are gonna put it next to a studio display, there will be a very big difference. But it's nice enough for like a productivity monitor. So if you're somebody that's just answering emails, dealing with spreadsheets or something like that, I think it would be fine for that. I would not want to use this for editing videos or editing photos. It's just not a high enough resolution for that. But I will say it's a third of the price of the studio display. So it's probably not even fair for me to compare the two. But that's just what I have here. So that's what I'm going to compare it to. It does have DCI P3 and HDR10 color, so you do get good color representation. I think this is a super interesting monitor for like a secondary monitor setup, or if you're like doing a lot of like traditional work in like spreadsheets or email or something like that, or a lot of web browser work. I could also see like web developers really liking this monitor because, you know, they could have their IDE on their main 16:9 monitor, but have a browser open on this one and like big full screen so they can just see everything without having to scroll. This video is sponsored by Nordpass Business. Nordpass is a place where you can store all of your sensitive information, whether it's passwords, secure notes, credit card information, whatever, you can put it here. And it has strong encryption, so you and the people that you give access to it are the only ones that can get to that information. Like I mentioned, it's great for storing passwords and credit cards and secure notes and all that information. And when you're signing into services, it'll autofill that information in for you. And when you sign up for a new account, it'll ask you to save that information to Nordpass as well. This allows you to use unique passwords for all your services. Unique passwords are incredibly important, so that way if somebody gets access to one of your services because your password was compromised, they don't get access to everything else, like bank accounts and email and really sensitive stuff. Speaking of being compromised, Nordpass has a feature called Data Breach Scanner where it scans all the different services that you have saved in Nordpass. It'll tell you, hey, this one was compromised, go change that password. And if you work with a group of people or in a business or something like that, Nordpass is great about sharing passwords. So you can easily give access to that stuff to people that you work with, and you can also revoke that access very easily. If you're an IT manager, you can use Nordpass for your company to require enhanced security features like multi-factor authentication. Go to nordpass.com/Christopher Lawley to get a 3-month free trial. My thanks to Nordpass Business for sponsoring this video. I get asked a lot about where I get my desk mats from, and I actually get them from a lot of different places. I'll put links to all the different places I look at when I get mine. The problem with desk mats is sometimes they just sell out and they're gone forever, so I can't link to all of mine, but I'll put links to where all the stuff that I mentioned in this video, including where I get desk mats, in the description below. And I like these because they can add some personality to your desk. Now you can get really simple ones, like the one that's on my main desk is from GroveMade, and it's just kind of like this felt gray desk mat, and I really like it. It's really nice. I actually modified it a little bit because I have cable holes that it covers up, so I cut it so that I can run the cables through it still. It works fine. But I get a lot of ones that have like personalities and designs on them because it adds some flavor to my videos and stuff like that. But you could absolutely just use these at your desk for a keyboard and mouse because that's what they're meant for. I just use them for those top-down shots that you see in my videos sometimes. Automating your desk is just as important as what goes on your desk. So I've been using a lot of NFC stickers lately. For those that don't know, NFC stickers are just like these little, usually white circular stickers that you can scan with your phone and trigger automations via shortcuts with. I've gotten some of these, and I got some special ones that work on metal devices. So if you order some of these, again, I'll put links to the ones that I got in the description below. But if you just go on Amazon and search for some, and if you're going to attach them to any metal products, you have to make sure they're ones that work with metal. Because the regular ones, they get interference or something. I don't really know. But what I do is I have a NFC sticker on the bottom of the Ugmonk Gather. So that way it's out of the way, it's not seen because it's just this big white circle sticker. And when I sit down at my desk, I scan my phone. It makes sure all the lights are on. It triggers my time tracking shortcut. It starts to play music in my office because when I come into my office first thing in the morning, I kind of like to pick up and make sure like everything's in a nice spot, and having music going is really nice. So it just triggers a few different steps there. Now you can program this to do just about anything you want through the Shortcuts app. You do this in Shortcuts on the Automation tab, and you use the NFC sticker as the trigger. The last item I want to talk about isn't really a desk accessory, it's an office accessory, but I get asked about it a lot, and that is my Husky tool chest. I absolutely love this thing. A lot of people ask like why I have it in my office. I think some people think like it's for woodworking or carpentry stuff or something like that. It's not. I use it for storage. Rolling tool chests like this work amazing for storage. And I am not the one that originally came up with this idea. I know I've seen my friend Sarah Dici use them. A lot of other YouTubers use them. But it's a really great place to just store knickknacks and stuff. So for me, I keep all my video gear in here, but once I move, I actually want to get a second one, and I want to keep a lot of tech products like cables, stuff that I just don't need all the time. I want to keep in these Husky tool chests because they have a lot of great drawers. They roll so I can get them out of the way if I need the extra space for filming. And they have like this nice top. So like I use it kind of as like an assembly area for like, oh, when I'm putting my camera rig together, you know, I can assemble all the parts right there. The other nice thing is I put liners in them, so that way stuff doesn't slip or slide around when I'm opening the drawers and stuff like that. And what's cool about this one is it has one drawer that's kind of shallow, but then it has 3 really deep drawers. So I'm able to fit like camera lens standing up, tripods, not standing up, but long ways because it's nice and wide, desk mats, all sorts of different things go in here. So that's it for this video. My thanks to Nordpass for sponsoring this video. Like I said, I will put links to everything I mentioned in the description below so you can go check it out. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already, and have a great day.